On the dark night of August 8, 1963, a Royal Mail train was traveling from Glasgow to London. In one of its carriages were bags full of banknotes, worth nearly £2.6 million at the time, which today amounts to roughly £67 million or 800 crores. The train's driver, Jack Mills, was speeding the engine through the night's darkness. Suddenly, at a crossing, a red signal light flashed. This was abnormal for the driver, as a red signal at this time and place made no sense. Nevertheless, driver Jack Mills immediately hit the brakes and brought the train to a halt on the desolate track. For a moment, there was silence all around, but hidden within that silence was a master plan about to execute the heist of the century, the Great Train Robbery, where the train itself was stolen. This sounds like a movie plot, but in real life, a gang of robbers carried out a suspense-filled plan and looted millions of pounds from a British government train without firing a single shot. It all began months earlier, when several well-known criminals in London put their heads together to pull off a new feat. Bruce Reynolds, the mastermind behind the plan, along with a few associates, began devising an unprecedented robbery plot. He had inside information about Britain's National Postal Service, the Royal Mail. This secret information came from a senior security officer within the Royal Mail, whose identity remains unknown. The tip was that a train traveling from Glasgow to London had a special carriage known as the High Value Packages (HVP) coach. On a specific day, it was scheduled to carry an unusually large sum of money, and this was the carriage they intended to rob. Bruce Reynolds and his associates were well-known criminals, but they had no experience robbing trains. Therefore, they involved another London gang, the South Coast Raiders, who did have experience robbing trains. Slowly, the team grew to over 15 people. They were determined to rob the government train without firing a shot. But this wasn't an ordinary holdup. It required months of planning. On August 7, 1963, at 6:50 p.m., the train departed Glasgow Central Station for London. It was scheduled to arrive at Euston Railway Station in London the next morning at 4 a.m. The train had 12 carriages and 72 postal staff on board to sort mail during the journey. This train was specifically for dropping parcels and post at various cities, so it wasn't supposed to make full stops at stations. Whenever it approached a station, local postal staff would hang mail bags on a special elevated rack. As the train slowly passed the platform, staff inside would grab the bags with a net, and mail bags destined for that station would be dropped off while the train was still moving. This way, mail was distributed without the train having to stop. The carriage to be robbed wasn't attached to the train yet. It was safely parked at Cheddington Railway Station. This carriage was called the HBP, High Value Packages coach, because it usually carried large amounts of cash money orders sent between cities. In 1960, 3 years before the heist, the Post Office Investigation Branch had instructed that security alarm systems be installed in HVP coaches for enhanced security. By 1961, 3 HVP coaches had these alarm systems installed, while older coaches without alarms were kept in reserve. The day of the heist was crucial. On that day, the secure HVP coaches with alarms were out of service. Therefore, a reserve coach, M3024M, which had no security system, was to be used. This was a major tip the robbers had received from their Royal Mail insider. When the train from Glasgow reached Cheddington Station, railway staff connected the HVP coach to the train, right behind the engine. This was the first tip for the robbers, but the second tip was even more important. Normally, HVP coaches carried around £300,000. However, because the previous week was a bank holiday weekend, on the day of the heist, it contained nearly £2.6 million in cash. This was tip number 2, the coincidence of 12 times the usual amount being transported, coupled with the fact that the secure HVP coach was out of service, was no accident for the robbers. They had been planning for this day for months. The train, now with the HVP coach attached, departed Cheddington Station. It was night, and the 58-year-old driver Jack Mills was speeding toward his destination. Meanwhile, the gang of robbers was hiding in bushes near the railway track. Their planning was perfect. Around 30 a.m. on August 8th, 1963. A member of the robber group tampered with the signal at Sears Crossing. He covered the green light with a glove and used a battery to activate the red light. Then they all hid and waited for the train. When the train reached Sears Crossing, the driver was surprised to see a red light, as trains, especially Royal Mail trains, were not normally stopped there. Jack Mills applied the brakes and brought the train to a stop right at the signal. Suddenly, silence fell. The assistant driver, also known as the second man, got off to contact the signalman using the line-side telephone. When he picked up the phone, he discovered the line had been cut part of the robber's plan. Just as the second man was about to return to the engine, robbers emerged from the bushes and overpowered him. Some robbers climbed onto both sides of the engine and attempted to subdue the driver. When Jack Mills resisted, a robber hit him on the head with an iron bar, knocking him unconscious on the driver's seat. While this was happening in the engine, other team members detached the first two carriages from the rest of the train. Their plan was to take the train away from there. But to where? About 1 kilometer from Sears Crossing was Bridego Bridge, where the robbers' truck was waiting. They had also brought a retired railway driver whose job was to drive the train to Bridego Bridge. Everything had gone according to plan so far. But now, the robbers faced their first problem. The driver they brought panicked upon seeing the controls of the new engine, as he had never operated it before. Forced, the robbers tried to revive Jack Mills and compelled him to drive the train 1 kilometer further. The engine and two carriages started moving again and stopped at Bridego Bridge. During this time, the staff in the remaining carriages had no idea why the train had stopped. At Bridego Bridge, the robbers broke into the HBP coach, injured 5 staff members, tied them face down with ropes, and began their operation. The HBP coach contained 128 sacks filled with cash £1, £5, and 10-shilling notes, weighing about 2.5 tons in total. The train was on the bridge, and a truck was waiting on the road below. According to the robbers' plan, they had only 15 minutes. They formed a human chain and loaded 120 of the 128 sacks into the truck. The remaining 8 sacks were left behind due to time constraints. Their plan had worked perfectly, except for one mistake that later proved crucial in their capture. As they left, one robber told the tied-up staff not to try to get up for 30 minutes, or they would be killed. The robbers had an Austin Lodestar truck loaded with the cash and 2 Land Rovers, both bearing the same license plate, BMG 757, to mislead witnesses. After the heist, they fled. After about 45 minutes of driving, at 4:30 a.m., they reached their hideout, located about 43 kilometers from the crime scene, near the village of Oakley. During this time, they listened to police communications on VHF radio, which helped them greatly. At the same time, the police became aware of the robbery. The robbers were initially overjoyed at the hideout, even playing Monopoly with real money. But their happiness was short-lived. Soon, via radio, they learned the police were searching for them within a 50-kilometer radius. This estimate came from the staff member's statement about the 30-minute warning, giving the police a clear idea of their possible distance. Panicked, the robbers decided to leave the hideout on Friday instead of Sunday, as originally planned. On Thursday, they divided the loot about £2.5 million. According to some reports, each got around £150,000, a massive sum at the time, equivalent to about £3.9 million today in purchasing power. The rest was distributed among helpers. Before leaving on Friday, they wiped their fingerprints from everything at the hideout and assigned one person to burn it down to destroy evidence. He took the money but fled without burning the hideout. Meanwhile, police were searching the entire Buckinghamshire area. Helicopters hovered overhead. Police cars were everywhere, and national media was in a frenzy. The police announced a £10,000 reward for information. A neighbor of the hideout came forward and reported unusual activity on the morning of August 8. Suspicious, the police immediately raided the hideout, a leather-slatted farmhouse the gang had rented 3 months prior. There, police found significant evidence linked to the robbery: empty sacks, mail, and a truck hastily painted yellow. The robbers had wiped their fingerprints, but some remained on the Monopoly set. They played with using real money. These fingerprints became a major breakthrough in the case, as they matched existing criminal records with Scotland Yard. Within days, police arrested 14 of the 16 gang members. Only 2 escaped: the replacement train driver, whose real identity remains unknown, and the senior Royal Mail security officer, whose tip started it all. His identity remains a mystery to this day. The court declared this the crime of the century and sentenced nearly all gang members to 30 years in prison. After the robbery, Bridego Bridge became popularly known as Train Robbers Bridge, a name it still informally holds today. Jack Mills, the 58-year-old train driver, never worked again due to his head injury and died of shock 7 years later. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and share it generously. Thank you for your loving comments. See you in the next amazing video.